The school bully attacks a black girl, without knowing. She's Vin Diesel's adopted daughter. Rain slicked the pavement outside Crestwood High that morning, the kind of drizzle that makes the sky look tired and the hallways smell like wet sneakers and cheap perfume. Inside, the hum of teenage chaos carried on as usual. Backpacks slammed into lockers. Laughter ricocheted through corridors and phones buzzed with the latest gossip. But in the middle of all that noise walked Amara Blake, quiet, composed, and new. She had transferred just 3 weeks ago, her arrival barely noted except for the small buzz around her last name. No one knew much about her. She didn't post selfies, didn't join cliques, didn't react when people whispered. She moved with a calm that felt almost out of place in a school obsessed with appearances. Her dark curls were always tied neatly, her eyes curious but cautious, like someone who'd learned the cost of standing out too soon. And then there was Logan Pierce. The name alone was enough to make freshmen step aside in the halls. The golden boy of Crestwood, captain of the basketball team, born into money, swaggering with the confidence of someone who'd never been told no. He had a way of turning charm into cruelty, that quiet, smirking kind that hides behind popularity. If he teased someone, everyone laughed. If he mocked someone, everyone followed. The morning Amara accidentally bumped into him near the cafeteria doors, spilling his protein shake all over his white hoodie. The entire hallway froze. Logan's jaw tightened. "You blind or something?" Amara blinked, startled, then reached for napkins. "I'm really sorry." "Sorry?" He smirked, voice rising. "You just trashed a $70 hoodie. What are you, some charity case?" The crowd giggled. Amara kept her head low, murmuring another apology, but the laughter rolled on like fuel. Logan leaned closer, his voice dripping with mock sympathy. "Hey, maybe next time try walking with your eyes open, sweetheart." "Oh wait, maybe you can't afford glasses." The crowd roared. A familiar performance for Logan. A familiar silence for Amara. But this time, something flickered behind her calm. Not fear, not anger, just quiet sadness. She picked up her bag and walked away without another word. Logan smirked triumphantly. "Thought so. That should have been the end of it." But gossip has a strange way of mutating in high school. Within hours, the clip of the encounter, filmed by someone nearby, was on every student's feed. Crestwood Queen meets clumsy new girl. Comments poured in. Memes followed. Amara didn't respond. She stopped sitting in the cafeteria. She stayed after class, reading in the library. Even the teachers noticed her growing silence. But what no one knew, not even Logan, was that Amara Blake wasn't alone in this world. Her guardian was someone who believed deeply in second chances, someone who'd lived a life in the spotlight, but still chose to come home every night to one simple promise: to raise a girl who would never doubt her worth again. That night, as Amara sat quietly at the dinner table, her adoptive father, Vin Diesel, looked across from her. His voice was calm, gravelly but warm. "Rough day?" Amara hesitated. "It's nothing." Vin tilted his head, studying her. "You've got that look again. The one that says it's nothing but means it's everything." Her eyes watered slightly. "People just assume things." "Let me guess," Vin said gently. "They see what they want to see, not who you are." She nodded. He leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "You know what my mother used to tell me? You don't fight darkness by punching it. You outshine it. You don't have to prove anything to them, kid. Just keep showing up. Keep being you." She smiled faintly, wiping her eyes. "Thanks, Dad," he grinned. "That's what family's for." The next week, Crestwood buzzed with new energy. The annual charity assembly was coming up, a big event hosted by the student council and local sponsors. This year's theme, Acts of Courage. Every class was asked to present something meaningful, a performance. Speech or project? Amara signed up quietly for a spoken word piece about identity and kindness. No one paid much attention except Logan, who saw her name on the list and rolled his eyes. "Oh great, the new girl's gonna lecture us about being nice. Can't wait." By Friday, the gym was packed. Parents, students, and local media filled the bleachers. The air buzzed with anticipation. One after another, students presented. Songs, skits, dances. Then came Amara's turn. She walked up to the mic in a simple white dress. Her palms trembled slightly. For a moment, the crowd murmured. that mix of curiosity and skepticism reserved for outsiders. Then she began. Her voice was soft but strong, each word deliberate. They say kindness is weakness, but what if it's the strongest thing we've got? What if the real courage isn't in the noise, but in the silence that refuses to break even when the world laughs at you? The gym fell utterly still. Even Logan looked up from his phone. I've seen people wear pain like armor, because the world taught them to hit before they're hit. But maybe, just maybe, we were never meant to fight fire with fire. Maybe we were meant to be the rain. By the end, the entire room was silent. Then applause erupted like a wave. Teachers stood. Students clapped. Even some of Logan's friends looked at him with uneasy eyes. She bowed slightly and stepped off stage. For the first time since arriving, she smiled. That night, Crestwood's local paper posted photos from the event, including a brief clip of Amara's performance. It spread fast, faster than Logan's viral clip ever had. People shared it for her words, her poise, her message. And then one detail changed everything. Someone recognized her in the photo, standing beside Vin Diesel in a candid shot taken outside the venue. Within hours, social media exploded. Wait, that's Vin Diesel's daughter. Bro bullied Vin Diesel's kid. He's gonna drive a muscle car through that school. The memes flipped overnight. Logan's DMs flooded with messages, jokes, and angry comments. But beneath the chaos, something shifted in him. An unease that wasn't about embarrassment, but guilt. For the first time, the golden boy of Crestwood felt small. The next Monday, Amara walked into school to whispers of admiration, not pity. Teachers smiled at her. Classmates said hi, but she stayed the same, polite, grounded, humble. She wasn't here for revenge or attention. She was here to learn. Logan waited near her locker, unsure how to start. When she noticed him, her eyes widened slightly. "Hey," he said quietly. "Can we talk?" Amara hesitated, then nodded. He took a deep breath. "Look, I was a jerk. Actually, that's an understatement. I was cruel. And I'm sorry. Not because of who your dad is, but because of who I wasn't." She looked at him. Really looked at him. "Thank you," she said softly. "That means a lot." He nodded, eyes down. "If there's anything I can do, just be kind," she said. "To whoever comes next." For a moment, silence hung between them. Not awkward, but honest. Then she smiled faintly and walked away. But fate wasn't done teaching lessons. A month later, Crestwood held its annual community outreach event. Students volunteering at local shelters, food banks, and youth centers. Amara signed up, of course. To everyone's surprise, so did Logan. They were assigned to the same shelter, sorting donations. At first, they worked in silence. Then gradually conversation found its way in. Logan asked about her writing. Amara asked about basketball. They laughed, hesitantly at first, then naturally. That day, a little boy at the shelter, no older than 8, tugged at Amara's sleeve. "Miss, are you famous?" She smiled. "No, sweetheart. My dad is." "Vin Diesel?" The boy gasped. "Yeah," she chuckled. Logan laughed too, shaking his head. "That still blows my mind," the boy grinned. "He saves the world in movies." Amara knelt beside him. "You know what he tells me? The real heroes aren't the ones on screens. They're the ones who show up when it's hard." The boy nodded solemnly. Logan looked at her, something shifting behind his eyes. Admiration, maybe even understanding. By the end of the year, Crestwood High felt different. The laughter in the halls wasn't so sharp anymore. People spoke softer, listened more. It wasn't magic, it was momentum. Started by one girl who refused to fight hate with hate. When graduation came around, Amara stood on stage as one of the student speakers. Her voice, as always, carried quiet conviction. Sometimes the world will test your kindness. It'll call you weak for forgiving, naive for hoping, foolish for believing people can change. But kindness isn't blind. It's brave because it chooses love. Even when it's hard. The crowd erupted in applause. Vin Diesel, sitting in the front row, wiped a proud tear from his eye. Logan, now a friend, clapped the loudest. Later, as the sun dipped over Crestwood's football field, Amara sat quietly with her father, watching the light fade. "You did it," he said softly. She smiled. "We did it." He wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "You changed them, kid. Not by fighting, but by being unbreakably good. She rested her head on his shoulder. Guess that's what family teaches you. Vin chuckled. Yeah, family's everything. And as the crowd laughed, hugged, and said their goodbyes, Amara looked out across the horizon, toward a world still flawed. Still loud, but somehow just a little bit kinder. Because sometimes, one act of grace can ripple farther than any act of revenge. Sometimes the quietest hearts carry the loudest strength, and sometimes the girl they underestimated becomes the reason everyone else remembers what it means to be human. The sky over Crestwood High looked bruised that morning, gray clouds pressing low, the air wet and heavy. Inside, the corridors pulsed with teenage noise, lockers slamming, sneakers squeaking, laughter ricocheting off painted brick. Somewhere in that blur of voices moved Amara Blake, the new girl everyone half noticed and quickly forgot. She walked with a quiet steadiness, head slightly bowed beneath a hooded jacket. Her curls were pinned neatly, her backpack plain. She wasn't shy exactly, just cautious like someone used to watching before she spoke. Her first few weeks had passed in soft invisibility. Polite nods to teachers, silent lunches in the library, kindness given but rarely returned. And then there was Logan Pierce, the reason the hallways sometimes held their breath. Captain of the basketball team, son of a local real estate mogul. Charm wound tight around arrogance. If popularity were currency, he was the school's private bank, and like most people who've never been told no, Logan mistook cruelty for confidence. It happened on an ordinary Tuesday. Between third and fourth period, Amara rounded the corner from the cafeteria, a plastic cup of chocolate milk balanced on her tray. Logan barreled through the same doorway, earbuds in, eyes on his phone. The collision was quick and messy. Milk splashed across his expensive white hoodie. A collective gasp rippled down the hall. Logan froze, staring at the brown stain blooming across his chest. What the hell? Amara blinked, startled. I'm so sorry. You blind or just stupid? His voice carried easily over the gathering crowd. I didn't see you. You didn't see me? He cut in, laughing without humor. How do you miss me? Oh, right. You were too busy trying to figure out which end of the hallway leads to detention. Laughter erupted from the onlookers. Amara bent to pick up the fallen tray, cheeks burning. I'll clean it, she murmured. I said I'm sorry. Logan leaned closer, smirk sharp as a blade. You think sorry buys detergent for this? Newsflash, new girl. This hoodie cost more than your whole outfit. Another round of snickers. Someone filmed on their phone. Amara's hands trembled, but her voice stayed low. I really didn't mean. Don't touch me, he snapped, stepping back. Just watch where you're going next time. He turned, muttering something cruel under his breath, and the crowd dissolved in a mixture of laughter and whispers. The clip hit social media before the lunch bell even rang. Crestwood Queen versus Clumsy Newbie. Within hours, it had hundreds of views, then thousands. Amara didn't fight it. She didn't post, didn't comment, didn't cry in public. She simply withdrew a little more, sitting alone in the library until the janitor flicked the lights, walking home with her headphones in. The world turned down to a murmur. What no one knew, what no one could have guessed, was that the quiet new girl had a life outside those hallways that dwarfed everything inside them. That night, in a warm house tucked behind tall hedges on the edge of town, Amara dropped her backpack by the door. The smell of dinner floated through the air, garlic, onions, and something smoky. Music thumped faintly from the kitchen. Hey, kiddo, called a deep, familiar voice. Amara smiled faintly. Hey, Dad. Vin Diesel looked up from the stove, spatula in hand, grin softening the rugged edges of his face. You're late. Homework mountain? She shrugged. Something like that. He studied her a moment longer. You've got that look again, the one that says you fought a dragon but won't admit it. Amara laughed despite herself. Maybe a small dragon. Vin leaned on the counter. School giving you trouble? Nothing I can't handle. He raised an eyebrow. You sure? She hesitated. Some people, they just see what they want. They don't even try to know you, Vin's voice gentled. Happens more than you think. People judge the surface because they're scared to dive deeper. But you, he pointed the spatula playfully, you've got depth. Don't let them pull you to the shallow end. Amara smiled, half teary. You always know what to say. That's my job. He set down the pan and pulled her into a quick hug. Just remember, family's your engine. Everything else, school, rumors, bullies, they're just speed bumps. She laughed into his shoulder. You and your car metaphors, he winked. Hey, it works. Outside, the rain started again, drumming softly against the windows. Somewhere deep inside, Amara felt the sting of humiliation begin to fade, replaced by something steadier. Resolve. Tomorrow. She decided she wouldn't hide. The morning after the incident, Crestwood High moved on as if nothing had happened. The halls buzzed with gossip about a basketball win, an upcoming dance, the usual noise of teenage worlds. But beneath the surface, one video still circulated. Amara's humiliation replayed in whispers and smirks. She walked through it all in silence, the same poise, the same careful step. But inside, a quiet ache simmered. Not rage, not even shame. Just a deep, hollow question. Why do people choose cruelty when kindness costs nothing? At lunch, she took her usual spot in the far corner of the library. The librarian, Mrs. Weller, looked up from her desk. You again? She said softly, smiling. Amara returned it. It's quiet here. Mrs. Weller nodded. Quiet's good. It's where people start listening to themselves. Amara tilted her head. Listening to myself? Sometimes the world's too loud to hear your own voice. You've got one, Amara. Don't let them drown it out. The words lingered long after she'd gone home. That evening, the house smelled of candles and comfort food. Vin was in the living room, script pages spread across the table. He looked up when Amara came in, eyes narrowing slightly. You've been thinking hard about something. She sat beside him. Dad, when people laugh at you, and it's not fair, what are you supposed to do? Fight back? He leaned back, considering. Depends. If it's a fight that teaches, maybe. But if it just adds more noise. Sometimes silence is louder. Amara frowned. Silence feels weak. Vin shook his head. Not when you choose it. There's strength in restraint. But you've got another weapon too, your voice. You use that. That's power. She glanced at the open script on the table. You mean like acting? He chuckled. Acting, writing, speaking, whatever makes people feel. The world doesn't change because someone yells. It changes because someone touches hearts, she smiled faintly. That sounds hard, he grinned. The best things always are. The next day, a notice went up on the school bulletin board. Crestwood Annual Charity Assembly. Theme, Acts of Courage. Students could sign up to perform, present, or share something meaningful. The idea stirred something deep in Amara. Acts of courage. It wasn't about strength or revenge. It was about impact. That night she opened her notebook and began to write. At first it was just fragments. Thoughts, memories, feelings that had no order but all carried truth. Words spilled out like quiet thunder. Courage is kindness when the world gives you every reason not to be. Maybe forgiveness is the loudest rebellion. You can't shame someone who knows their worth. By midnight, she had written something whole, a spoken-word poem. It wasn't about Logan or the bullying. It was about rising without hurting back. She titled it Rain Doesn't Burn. Over the next week, Amara practiced in her room, pacing, whispering lines into the air. Vin listened from the hallway sometimes, smiling softly. You've got fire, he said one night, leaning against the doorframe. She blushed. You think it's good? He nodded. It's real. And real always wins. He pulled out his phone. You want me to come watch you perform? She hesitated. You'll be busy, he grinned. Family first, remember? Her heart lifted. Then, yeah, I'd like that. The week of the assembly arrived fast. Students buzzed about performances, bands, comedy skits, short films. Logan, as always, was in the spotlight, planning to MC the event. When he saw Amara's name on the sign-up list, he scoffed. The new girl's doing poetry? He laughed to his friends. Can't wait for the TED Talk. His friends laughed with him, but not as loud as before. Something about the joke fell flat now. The school had started to sense the shift. The exhaustion of cruelty wearing thin. The morning of the assembly, Amara woke before dawn. The house was silent. She stood by the window, watching sunlight creep across the backyard. For the first time, she didn't feel fear. She felt purpose. When Vin came downstairs, she was already dressed, a simple white blouse and jeans. He smiled. You ready? She nodded. Yeah. Then let's go make them listen. Crestwood's gym was packed that afternoon. Parents filled the bleachers, teachers lined the walls, and students whispered nervously behind curtains. The air buzzed with anticipation. Logan stood on stage first, cracking jokes, playing to the crowd, the old rhythm of laughter returning briefly to his side. But when the announcer called Amara's name, something in the room shifted. She stepped out, small against the stage lights, microphone in hand. For a heartbeat. No one breathed. Then she began. They told me kindness was weakness, that silence meant defeat. But what they never said was how heavy hate can be. The gym hushed. You can throw words like stones, but they don't break what's built of grace. You can try to shame the rain, but the rain keeps falling. Gentle, endless healing. Her voice was steady now, filling every inch of air. Because the truth is, we all bleed the same color. We all want to be seen, so maybe real courage isn't in winning fights, but in walking away with peace still in your hands. When she finished, the silence that followed was thick, electric, and then it broke. Applause rolled like thunder, louder than any laughter Logan had ever drawn. Students stood, teachers clapped, some parents even cried. Amara blinked, overwhelmed, but smiled through it. A small, steady smile that said, "I found my voice." That night, the local paper posted photos of the assembly. One image stood out, Amara on stage, eyes closed, hand over her heart. Another photo surfaced of her afterward, standing beside her adoptive father. "Wait," someone commented. "That's Vin Diesel?" By morning, it was everywhere. The girl who spoke about kindness is Vin Diesel's daughter. The story spread like wildfire. But this time, not as gossip, as inspiration. Even Logan couldn't escape it. The same classmates who once laughed with him now looked at him differently. And for the first time in his life, the mirror reflected something he didn't like.